Myself, I am Kogilamani from Information Technology Department. Today we are going to say about the intent concept in mobile application development. So before going to start the intent concept, I am going to tell about the basic components in the mobile application development. So first one is an activity. Activity is a single screen with the user interface. When the user interact with the activity, so that is called as an that means user interact with the page is called as an activity. So second component is an service. That service is a unique component. So users, that means the apps runs in the background. So if the user want music, that means user need music while working on the other applications, it will be enabled by the service. So third component is an content provider. So content provider is to manage the central repository data. That means it will provide the data, that means share the data to the applications, and it also manage the data, that means stored by itself with the applications. And the fourth component is an broadcast receiver. So broadcast receiver is the fourth component, that is the users allows, that means user will allow the system at the application events, that will register the system application events that is provided, that occurs when the incoming calls are received, and it occurs when the income, that means messages are received. So here the intent is nothing but that is some actions performs on the screens, that it also communicate with that means it it will pass the information to the components such as the services, content providers, and the broadcast receivers and services. So it will connectivity, it will provide the connectivity among the applications, and it will pass the information between the applications, and it will pass the information among the activities within the application also. Here first one. So here the intent, Android uses intent for communicating between the components. The components are the services, content provider, broadcast receiver, and the activities. So here the components of an application, and also from one application to another applications. So intent are the objects which is used in Android for passing the informations among the activities in an application and from the one application to another. Here we are using the intent object. So intent object, that means it will decide when the started activity happens. Then next, so intent is to perform some action on the screen. Here the uses of the intent, the start service, launch an activity, display the web page, and display the list of contacts and the broadcast message, dial a phone call. These are the uses of the intents. Next one, here we are using the methods like start activity, start the service, and send the broadcast. Here the context is nothing but it will represents the current state of the application of the object. Here the context start activity method is used to launch a new activity or get an existing activity to be action, and the second one second method is an context start service. This is a start new service or delivered instruction for an existing service. So third method is an context that send broadcast method. It will deliver the message to the broadcast devices, that means receivers, that means it will send the messages from one system to another through the broadcast method. So next one is So there is two types of intents. One is an explicit intent, then next one is an implicit intent. So implicit intent is a dial phone call, map location, one web page, that means open web page. Here implicit intent is nothing but it will communicating between the two applications. So next method is an explicit intent. So explicit intent is communications across the activities within the applications. So explicit intent is a start activity, services, broadcast. These are the examples of the explicit intent. So syntax of the intent is an keyword, then in is an intent object, then new intent. So this represents the current activity, that is a from state. So next one is in second activity, this represents the to state. So with the class extensions, that is a second activity is a name dot class extension. After that we are going to start the activity by using the intent object. Here the intent object is in. Next one is an explicit intent. So we already know about the explicit intent. Explicit intent are used to connect the application internally. That means we have we are communicating among the activities within the application only. So that is a syntax for explicit intent. Intent I, here intent is a keyword, I is an implicit intent object, then new intent get application context activity to dot class. Here get application context also represents the current state of the application or the object within the application. Then next is a activity to dot class. Here activity 2 represents the second activity in class name with the class extension. Next one is in start activity, that means we are going to start the activity with the creation of that object, that is a I. So this is a next slide. This is the example of explicit intent. So here in first picture we are having the go to other activity button. While clicking on that button it will move to the second activity. In that second activity page we are having the another button name as a go to home activity. That means while clicking on the go to other activity it will move to the second activity. While clicking on the go to home activity button it will move back to the first activity. This is a implicit intent, sorry, that is an explicit intent. So next one is an implicit intent. So implicit intent, that means nothing but it not specify the components. That is generally we are knowing about the users, that means we are using the mobile phones, that means we are jumping from one application to another usually. That means we are having the receiving payment link in the message. While clicking on that messaging payment link it will move to the another app, that is Google Pay or Phone Pay, that is called as implicit intent that occurred by this event. That is that intent is passed to the system. So this is a syntax of implicit intent. So the syntax is intent is a keyword, then intent, here the second intent is an object. So this is an object for implicit intent. Then next new keyword intent action view. Here we are going to view that web page. Here we are going to giving the Java pointer web page. So before going that set data is nothing but if you having the single piece of information that need to send to the started activity, we are using the set data. If you are having the more number of information that need to send to the started activity, then you can use the put extra methods. So here we are having the only one piece of information, that is we are going to see about it, that web page. So that web page is passed to that set data method. So next one is an start activity, that means we are going to start that activity by using the intent object. Here the intent object is created. So next one is the example of this syntax. Here first picture we are having the edit text and the button. So in the edit text we are going to give that web page names. So next one is a visit button. So while we are giving the Java point web page, after that after clicking the visit button it will move to the Java point web page. That means it will move from the one page to, that means it will move from one application to another application, because we are creating this application but that web page is opened in the another application called an browser. So the communication between the two apps is called as an implicit intent.